All right, we did it. The 2024 Fantasy Points Prospect Guide is live on FantasyPoints.com. It was written by yours truly, the film expert of this show, which is film versus analytics. I'm going to be joined by my co-host, Scott Barrett, the CEO of Fantasy Points. He is the analytics guy. Today, we are breaking down Texas wide receiver Xaiver Worthy. This is another player, the ADP 110. We're going to be going through that ADP now until the draft, breaking down every single player. Without further ado, let's jump in. My man, Scott, what's going on?
What's up, Brett? I'm excited for this. We're going to talk Xaiver Worthy. I have a lot of questions, I think, or a lot of concerns, and I'm eager to hear your thoughts after I kind of lay out what the analytics profile is speaking to me.
Yeah, before you jump into that, I'm going to toot my own horn. I'm a victory lap real quick. Can I do that?
Go ahead.
If you read, this is what's so fascinating about the draft community to me, Scott. If you read my combine primer, which I go through guys I expect to do well, guys that need to do well, guys that could surprise you, Xaiver Worthy was mentioned in there. And I cautioned people. I said, Xaiver Worthy is going to go down to Indianapolis and he's going to run low 4.2s, maybe the fastest 40 ever. This is in the article. You guys can go read it. Let's not overreact and get crazy with how artificially boosted this man gets. He was a consensus top 60 player before the combine. You know, a lot of people had that firm late second round grade on him. And what do you know? He did exactly what we already knew he could do. And next thing you know, he jumps to ADP 10 in the rookie draft here. He's a consensus first round pick now. Make it make sense, Scott. I don't know. I'll let you take it from there.
Yeah. So Xaiver Worthy is the fastest human being alive. Congratulations. That's really cool. But that doesn't really translate to fantasy points as well as people think it does. Of the top 30 or so fastest wide receivers in combine history, only one has ever reached 1,000 receiving yards at the pros. That was Santana Moss. Yeah.
Say that again. That is mind blowing.
The top 30 fastest wide receivers at the combine, only one has ever reached 1,000 yards in a single season at the professional level. That was Santana Moss.
Holy cow. That is crazy.
Not anywhere near as predictive as people think it is. It is very predictive of draft capital, but not success, which is NFL success, which is tied to draft capital. So it's even less predictive. And in fact, his fast 40 to me isn't anywhere near as good as his low BMI is bad. Worthy's BMI ranked 9th lightest of any combine wide receiver since at least 2000. Deshaun Jackson was the only other wide receiver in the top 50 to post a 1,000-yard season, and he ranked 45th. So a good distance away from Worthy. And so to me, the combine performance is at best a wash, where you saw like the NFL mock draft cognoscenti just, yeah, you know, I had him as an early round 2, but now there's no doubt about it. He's mid to low end day one. Xavier, because I knew he was fast, but now I know he's really fast. And so you have this double counting thing going on. When to me, again, the combine BMI versus the low weight versus the fast 40 is at best a wash. Luckily, there's a lot from his analytics profile beyond that to like. He had the best freshman or age 18 season in the class. It was historically good. He led Texas in receiving yards in all 3 seasons. His freshman season was definitely his most impressive, but he's also competing for targets against a projected round 2 tight end, another projected round 1 wide receiver, a projected round 7 wide receiver. But ultimately, his profile is just like okay to me. 81st percentile age-adjusted yards per route run in that freshman season, which is great. But 38th percentile career yards per route run, 11th percentile yards per target, worst in the class against press coverage. All those percentile ranks are against day 1 or day 2 wide receivers since 2014. He reminds me a lot of Zay Flowers, which like people are like, oh, sick. Zay Flowers is awesome. That's like not really a compliment in my head. I was like a Flowers hater last year, and like I wasn't all that impressed by his rookie season. Like it was great for fantasy. It's just I'm like still not sure he's very good. he wasn't really consistently beating cornerbacks last year. He led all wide receivers in percentage of yards coming on screens and on deep targets against busted coverage. Like his role was great, but like him being good and beating cornerback still like a bit of a question mark to me. And so you look at Worthy, 46% of his career catches have come on screens. That's the most of any projected top 25 power 5 wide receiver in this class. 28% of his targets came on deep passes. That's most of any projected top 10 power 5 wide receiver in the class. And screens, that's production we want to devalue. That's production we deem somewhat fraudulent. It's manufactured touches. You're not really beating quarterbacks with your route running, deep targets too. Maybe it's a slight efficiency hack. But then again, 11th in percentile career yards per target. Anyway, in summation, add it all up, I'm not really mad at his ADP, but he's certainly not someone I'm excited to draft, but I'm eager to hear what you have to say.
Well, Scott, you just mic dropped that whole segment. I don't think I have to say anything. I mean, that was great. I thought we were going to come in here and disagree. It is film versus analytics, right? But I think this is a good instance where the film backs up the analytics like a lot. I mean, at least for me. I know there's a lot of guys who disagree with me on Worthy. So, just to highlight some of the good things, yes, he is fast. He is also fairly quick. You don't necessarily see the quickness on the route running though, but he is quick. You see it in the open field for sure. You mentioned those screens. He's great on design touches. I do worry though that as players get a little bigger and a little faster in the NFL, if him taking a lot of shots on screens is not ideal for his BMI, as you mentioned. So anyways, he is a big play machine. You get him the ball in space, whether that's a screen or a crossing route, it's great. I've mentioned the free routes theory free yards theory with guys like Brian Thomas Jr. Worthy gets the same treatment, right? There weren't a lot of college coaches that felt comfortable pressing Worthy. I think that's a mistake because he's not he doesn't have good burst, but he's small. So I think you should press Worthy, but coaches just didn't like to. And so he got a lot of those free yards built in, like, hey, we're going to give you a 10-yard cushion and Worthy can just take 5. I think the NFL, some teams will treat him similarly. So there will be the opportunity for free yards there. But there are so many red flags to me. The tiny diminutive frame, it pops up in all aspects of his game. He cannot get off press right now. I know he's laterally quick, but for how fast he has really underwhelming acceleration. It's actually kind of mind-blowing how he ran the 40 he did with how slow he gets off the line sometimes for his size. It's so puzzling to me. But anyways, yeah, he cannot get off press. Physical corners really mess him up through the entire route phase. So when he's driving, when he's running that stem, any type of contact in that stem can really mess up his timing, his efficiency getting out of that break at the top of the stem. If he gets contacted at all, the whole play is disrupted. Furthermore, when he's working in traffic, so this is a guy at his size, you're gonna assume he has to have some outside-inside versatility, right? He's not going to live exclusively on the outside. He's too small. So you're going to try to put him in the slot to get him free releases, but he doesn't play well in traffic. You get him in congested areas, the hands fall apart. He can't hold on to the ball through the contact window. These are red flags to me, Scott, because when you got a little slot receiver, he's going to have to live over the middle of the field. That's why, grit and toughness, all these cliches that we associate with slot receivers, it's true for a reason, right? You have linebackers hitting you, safeties coming down to hit you. You got to be tough. I don't see it with Worthy. And then here's the icing on the cake for me, Scott. You mentioned the go balls and the deep ball production. And when you got a guy that runs 4.21, you're like, oh, sweet, this is a math changer. Here's the problem. He can't track the ball in the air. He physically cannot do it. Like on a go ball, when he's looking over his shoulder, I'm trying to do it while not moving out of the camera, but he literally can't find the ball in the air. Post routes are a little bit better because it's more of a lateral plane the ball's coming in on, or a horizontal plane. But man, on those pure vertical routes, he really struggles to find the ball in the air. He can't make adjustments. He's got a small catch radius. He's not the elite deep threat I think people think he's going to be. I think he's more gadgety. Yeah, will he catch some deep balls in the NFL because he's super fast and you can get him that free? Sure, he will. But for the most part, I don't know that that's his primary use in the NFL, which is scary because that's what he does right now. The projection here is really muddy to me. I do have a late second round grade on him, early third-ish, but I just really struggle with this round one consensus take. The ADP of 10 is crazy to me. I don't know. Anything I say, perk your ears.
Yeah, I just agree with that. I mean, the NFL has made this mistake over and over and over and over again, where it's just like, oh, this guy is really fast. He must be an elite deep threat. But it's just like there's so much more to being an elite deep threat than just raw speed. Like clearly, just from what we laid out earlier, but like looking at Worthy's like he's legitimately bad as a deep threat. I said he had the most highest percentage of career targets coming on deep passes of any top 10 projected wide receiver in this class, but like his yards per target, his catch rate on deep passes was abhorrent. And so yeah, maybe it's what you're speaking to with like he can't get off press coverage. He's bigger, more physical cornerbacks can push him off of his route or push him to the sideline. Like all that stuff matters. Just to go back to the BMI and play devil's advocate, it's certainly possible he came in light just to break that combine record, which is so cool. And so, maybe he plays a little bit heavier than that. Maybe there's, he's one of the youngest wide receivers in this class. So maybe there's room for him to grow and all that. But it's still like, what are you seeing on tape? You're seeing the size really being, NFL's moving towards this lighter, smaller wide receiver, but you're seeing on the film, his size is an issue at the college level, which means it's definitely going to be an issue at the pros.
For sure. And you added the context with the BMI. Maybe he came in a little light. We also got to adjust a little bit because he played with Quinn Ewers, and Quinn Ewers is a good college quarterback. I don't think he's, this top flight prospect, but he underthrew a lot of deep balls to Worthy. So I will give. Here's the thing, though. In the NFL, that's going to happen. You got to be able to play through contact. You got to be able to win some of those contested situations. And
ball tracking.
Yeah, ball tracking. Worthy's just not good at that stuff. So unless the environment is right, unless he has a perfect ball thrown to him on the deep routes, he's really not likely to come down with it. So I'm glad we agree on this one. I do have a comp for you. So I kind of prepared a bunch because I didn't have a clean guy. I didn't have one person that stuck out. There's like elements of people's game. Hollywood Brown is the one that sticks out the most. The way he could be used in the NFL could be similar to Hollywood Brown, where it's like, hey, your ball tracking's not elite. You're not great at the catch point, but you can run really fast. You can run away from linebackers. NFL teams play a lot of zone, so we're going to put you on crossing routes. We're going to get you on those shallow crossers, those deep crossers. We're going to have you sit down over the ball against zone. These are great ways to use him. If he falls into a Hollywood Brown type of role, I think that could be really good for him. I also see a little bit of Darnell Mooney, where Mooney's lightning fast as well, but he doesn't have great acceleration. He's not a super technical route runner, or at least wasn't when he came out. And then the other two guys I thought of because of the BMI stuff is Tank Dell and Marvin Mims. The problem is those guys both are elite at the catch point for their size. Like absolutely ridiculous ball tracking, absolutely ridiculous, playing through contact where, I just don't see that with Worthy. So there's like little elements to all four of those guys' game that really I had to piece it together, come up with a style comp, but not a clean comp for me, not a clean projection either.
Yeah, I like the Hollywood Brown comp. Both light, small framed, low BMI, very, very fast. But, Hollywood's analytics profile was significantly better than Worthy's and like elite deep threat in college. The comp I like, by the way, I took this from our writer, Nick Spinola at Football Insights on Twitter. He saw it first analytically, Zay Flowers, and then I was talking to Danny Kelly, the Ringer, and we were going over some of his comps, and he was like, yeah, Xavier Worthy reminds me of Zay Flowers a lot. So the analytics and film comp, at least from these two guys, appears to be Zay Flowers, and I like that a lot. From a fantasy implication, like that's why the folks at home are listening. Like, what do we do here?
Yeah.
Do we take him at ADP wide receiver 5, super flex 110? I'll just say, like, I'm not really sure yet. I think we need to do some more videos. I will say, I just poured some cold water I can't
Huh.
pronounce that word. You give me so much grief for it whenever we're talking on the phone. Pour some cold water
Oh, there
on
you go.
nice Brian Thomas Jr. and Xavier Worthy. The next player we're going to talk about is a wide receiver who I like a lot. I'm hoping Brett agrees with me. I would rather take him over the other two, assuming Brett at least agrees with me a little. So yeah, stay tuned, keep watching to find some more prospects we're a little more excited to talk about.